So in the cookbook, this will just wrap up with a bit on this. So we have places in the cookbook for managing reference data in your business glossary. You can use reference data values in your definitions, either functional or technical definitions, and you can set up quality attributes that says that these things validate off of certain reference data lists. You can create just general quality rules and monitoring for valid values. Say this particular field validates against this reference data list, and we can check that and monitor it and inform you if there's anything to bring in. But at data system level, you can identify tables and things in your data system that are reference data lists. And report specifications, like your report catalog documentation of reports, you can document reference data, how it's used for sort or select or other things. And ETL and lineage specifications, you can use this to document what we call scoping criteria, which is like saying that this particular address is a business address, right? So it's scoped by the status of being as a business address, which could be a reference data. You can also have processing steps in your lineage from source to target, where it goes through a translate between one reference table to a next, like a mapping. It's a documentation standpoint. General reference data management. There's like if we're talking about what we do with it, there's a set of content. You can create reference data lists. So outside of how it's being used, so managing the reference data lists themselves, you can create them manually. You can just go in and key them in if you want. You can import them if you've got them in a spreadsheet or whatever, or you can set up an integration. And an integration works, I'll show you, here's cohort, right? And this cohort is defined, we have a group, right? And we've got two different lists. We've got the banner ERP system and a CRM system. And we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got X number of values here. There's actually more for your cohorts. And we have this technical information. The technical information says, like, where in the banner system does this reference data live? And it says, oh, this lives in the STVCHRT table, and the code is in this field, and description is in this field, and there's not sort of an active flag. And you can turn on the integration, and it will run and populate this as frequently as you want. And if there is a change, it works the same way as someone coming in through the ideal process and proposing a change. It's going to create a new version and run that through the workflow. So you can cut and paste in here. You can do an import, or you can set up the integration to run on a regular basis. From a content standpoint, I just showed you in the thing, you've got your code and description. There, you can also set up roll-up values. So like, here's grade, A, B, C, D, F, and I, and you've got a description. And you can set up a roll-up that says it's going to go to pass-fail, right? And pass-fail, that can be another reference data list. It can be just text too, but it can also roll up to another list if you want, right? And this is, and also you have another system where you've got A/B, and that's sort of mapping to the master code. Now, the master list can be one of two things. You can choose to make a particular data system your master list, or you can just choose to have a generic master list that's not tied to a data system. But everything maps to that master list. And those fall into grouping. So you've got lists, grades lists that are in the grades, data system specific lists and the master list and within the grades. And all those can be set up with integration and pull those things in. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how our integration works, and then we're going to wrap up here. We have our application, the Data Cookbook, is a software as a service application, and we have a enterprise service bus platform that we package. It's a sort of pretty simple platform that you install somewhere within your network. It can be virtual or in the cloud or whatever, but it's just within your network, and it talks to the cookbook and understands about what these reference data lists are and how they live. And it can either be you can either define it as a specific table in the fields, or you can actually define it by queries too if you want. And then you configure it to talk to your data systems, whether on-premise or in the cloud, and configure the connection to them. And then whatever frequency you want, you just schedules it'll execute those queries and push them up, and then inform you from that realistic standpoint that there's been a change and what the impact is of that process. So here's sort of a little map of that. The data quality monitoring is another cool feature, but we will talk about that in another webinar. But this is where we're looking for violations of rules and uploading assessments and creating issues if it exceeds the threshold. And one of the things that you can check on is whether or not certain fields match a valid value list. And the interesting thing to think about this, and I'll leave this for next time, is what we do with that is when we check those values, we're checking the approved lists, not the current list. So it's kind of an interesting point to think about. You can wrap your head around.